What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel. It's starting 11 prediction time ahead of tomorrow's first Champions League game against Slovan Bratislava at Celtic Park. So much excitement, so much to look forward to in this new Champions League format. And we have the first game at home against Slovan. They're the lowest ranked team that we were drawn against. It presents a brilliant opportunity for the team to get off to a good start, but that does also come with some potential pitfalls because it's very, very rare that Celtic go into a Champions League game considered heavy favourites. If you look back through our last 5 or 6 opening Champions League games in the group stages in the old format, we came up against a lot of big hitters, the likes of Real Madrid, PSG, Barcelona. We haven't scored in the last 6. You have to go back to a 3-2 defeat at Old Trafford for the last time we scored in the opening game of a Champions League campaign. But it's very rare that we go in as heavy favourites, and that's a different mental approach for the team in Europe. They're so used to being heavy favourites and dominating domestic games. But when we come to the Champions League, it's a totally different ball game. The shoe's on the other foot. We're always the underdogs, generally speaking. But this new format has thrown up some interesting fixtures, and we have an opportunity to get off to a good start with Bratislava at home tomorrow. Now, it's not going to be easy in any way, shape or form. I know the manager and the players won't be underestimating Slovan Bratislava. I watched the highlights of their playoff against Michelin. They are dangerous, and if you want to know more about them, you can watch the preview that I did with Michal Jantoska, Slovakian sports reporter. I'll link it up here and at the end of the video, where we talk about Slovan's strengths, weaknesses, how we think they're going to come and approach the game. What effect might the atmosphere have on Slovan, given that it's the first time they've qualified for the Champions League proper. So that's a rare occasion for them. It's a big occasion. It'll be the biggest game for some of these players in their career so far. They do have some players who have played at a high level before and have played for big clubs across Europe, so it's not entirely new to some of their players, but we've got to make it as difficult as we can for them. And like I say, we have to be aware that we cannot underestimate them. We've got to be at our highest level tomorrow in order to get maximum points. You only have to think back a few years for some European ties where Celtic did go in as favourites. You think about Bodo Glimt in the Conference League under Ange Postecoglou, even as far back as Copenhagen in the Europa League, where we were fancied getting into the second leg after a 1-1 draw in the first leg. There is plenty of examples of Celtic being considered favourites in big European games and then not perform. We've got to banish that tomorrow. As I say, it's a clean slate with this new format. We've got to start it in a positive note, and getting 3 points on the board would be absolutely massive going ahead in this campaign. We come into the game in good domestic form off the back of that 2-0 win over Hearts at the weekend. That's 5 straight league wins, of course, without conceding a single goal. Slovan are also top of their domestic league. They won 2-1 away from home at the weekend. Again, you can hear more about that in the preview that I did yesterday, but for us it's all about maintaining that level and really focusing on getting a good start in the game, because Slovan are new to the competition. It is a big occasion for them. We've got to hope the atmosphere is as good as it can be in the stadium and the team start fast to really put Slovan under pressure, and hopefully from there we can give ourselves a platform for a good performance that can get us 3 points. So let's get to the team then, and we'll start in goals like we always do with Kasper Schmeichel, who did have some saves to make at the weekend against Hearts, but again his distribution really helping us build out from the back. That is going to be tested in these Champions League games, there's no doubt about that. If it's not really tested on Wednesday, it will be when we come to face some of the tougher opponents throughout this campaign. But it's really helping us how quick and efficient he is with his distribution. And like I say, it will be tested. Hopefully he can keep that high level up. And again, if we need him tomorrow to make big saves, you back him to do that. He's been excellent since he's come in. Obviously those 5 league clean sheets equaling the records from 1906, 1907. And a chance to break that in a couple of weeks' time at St Johnstone. But we need a big performance from him tomorrow if and when Bratislava do test them. Back 4, I'm going unchanged. Johnston, Carter Vickers, Scales and Taylor. I think most of those guys have started the season really, really well. Again, this presents a different test for them. I think Slovan do look dangerous in forward areas. They're going to have to be on guard, and they're going to have to bring a really high level of performance. But again, you back them to do that. They've been tested with different teams in Europe at times, but tomorrow is a good chance for them to set their stall out and get a really strong start to this campaign before we go ahead to the more tougher away ties. It's Dortmund next, so that's going to be a totally different test for us. But again, in terms of the relationship between Schmeichel and that back four in Europe, they're going to want to get off to a strong start, and they're also going to have to be at a high level tomorrow to do that. Midfield, I'm going McGregor. Engels, who did start, got his first start against Hearts at the weekend, and the goal, and Rio Hatate. Again, a lot of debate about Hatate potentially not starting this game tomorrow. I just can't see it. I think it's a bit harsh. Yes, I think throughout the game on Saturday there was really scrappy spells of passing Hatate was involved in, and we gave it away a couple of times. But I don't see that as cause to drop him. I think the thing that Hatate needs is a long, consistent one in the team. Yes, he's got to perform because we've got competition for places now, of course. Bernardo is there. I think Bernardo's actually a great option in some of the European games in terms of the work he gives you off the ball, his ability to press the opponent. But I think Hatate's going to start tomorrow. And like I say, Arne Engels alongside him, who had a brilliant debut at the weekend. He looks a really well-rounded midfield player, really strong. I think he's a really powerful runner. He might not appear the quickest, but he's a really strong runner. He looks technically very good. He showed brilliant composure to step up and slot that penalty away, and getting a goal is good for any player on their first start for their confidence, and hopefully he can really kick on from that. But I look forward to seeing more of him. You can see he's got all the attributes you would want from a midfield player, and I look forward to seeing him tested in these European games as well. So front three, I'm going Kuhn on the right hand side, Dijsselbloem on the left, and again Kyogo through the middle. It's a big opportunity for Kuhn, a big chance for him. The first time we'll have seen him in Europe for Celtic. What can he bring to the game? I think on Saturday he showed some really good runs, some really good dribbling ability, but again just overplayed it at times. A couple of wayward shots as well, but I think just when he got into those dangerous areas, he wanted to take an extra touch. He wanted to try and beat another player, when he really should have tried to release the ball and look for an incisive pass and just try and make a decision earlier. That was some of the hallmarks of things that we saw last season from him. So he's got to be decisive in forward areas. As always the case in these Champions League games, you have to make the most of your big moments, your big chances in the game. I think we're wrong to think this is going to be an easy game for us and that we might score 3 or 4. We're going to have to capitalise on the big moments like we always have to. At this level, you don't get loads and loads of chances. You've got to be ruthless when they do come along. Dijsselbloem on the left-hand side, his pressing intensity is going to be massive for us because, like I say, in the early period of the game, against a team who are new to the Champions League, we've got to make the atmosphere as difficult as possible for them. And the pressing of the team has to be spot on from the word go, because we've got to make it really uncomfortable for them in terms of if they're trying to play out or if we're forcing them into going long. We've got to really put them under pressure early doors. And Kyogo through the middle has missed a few chances recently. He missed a couple at the weekend again. I think the one about 10 minutes in where he's through one-on-one with Craig Gordon and he smashes it wide. I don't know if he was maybe slightly offside, but he has had a few so far this season. I actually think the chances where he's got loads of time running through and the goalkeeper are the ones that you least expect him to score, because it's the instinctive first time finishes, almost the harder chances that he really excels in. But I do accept he's got to do better in those situations. And like I say, when I was talking about Kuhn just a minute ago, Kyogo's got to take his chances tomorrow. We've got to be ruthless at this level. He did score 2 goals, one against Lazio, one against Atletico Madrid, both early in the home games last season. That's the kind of thing we're looking for tomorrow. We've got to be really decisive and ruthless in the final third when we get the chances, because if we pass up opportunities, that's when the nerves can grow in the game, and that will give Slovan Bratislava life and oxygen in the game as well. So we've got to take our chances when they come along. And Kyogo, if he gets any one-on-ones, if he gets through on the goalkeeper, he's got to keep his composure and slot it away, because it's key for us to get off to a good start tomorrow night. So there you go, that's the lineup I think Brendan Rodgers will go with. You can let me know who you think will start tomorrow in the comments below. Do you disagree? Do you think Bernardo maybe will come in for Hatate? I know a lot of you have been debating that online. Do you think Engels will keep his place after his good performance on Saturday? And any changes in the front three, let us know. Like the video, and we'll see you tomorrow after the game with all of the full-time reaction. Thank you.